The storm was violent, the kind that rattled bones and hearts. Lightning struck the palace of King Olajuwon, and when it ended, his charred body sat slumped on his throne. The villagers of Ajakorò, huddled in fear, whispered one word among themselves: Sango, the god of thunder, had spoken. Before we continue, if you're captivated by this tale of power, betrayal, and divine justice, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't miss more thrilling stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Hit the subscribe button and join us for more incredible narratives. Ajakorò was no ordinary village. It was a place blessed by the gods, where people lived peacefully, protected by their traditions and the power of Sango. Their king ruled with wisdom and respect, ensuring the gods were honored. But when the good king passed, so too did the village's harmony. The elders knew the next king would shape the village's fate. Guided by rituals, they sought a leader to honor Sango's laws. However, one man, far from Ajakorò's traditions, was determined to claim the throne. Olajuwon, a man corrupted by foreign wealth and blinded by ambition. Olajuwon was no stranger to Ajakorò, but he had left years ago for New York, a land far beyond the villagers' understanding. There he amassed wealth through deceit and returned home with gold, foreign trinkets, and promises of prosperity. He bribed the kingmakers to secure his place as king. His coronation was grand, but even in the celebration the villagers felt unease. Olajuwon didn't perform the sacred rites to honor Sango. Instead, he dismissed them, saying, "The gods don't rule this village, I do." The elders, wary but powerless, watched as the first cracks in tradition began to form. At first, Olajuwon's reign seemed promising. He built new markets, introduced foreign goods, and made bold claims about making Ajakorò rich. But soon his true nature was revealed. The wealth he brought was not for the people but for himself. His rule became one of greed and oppression. Olajuwon replaced the trusted chiefs with white foreigners who had no respect for Ajakorò's customs. These men helped him enforce his will, turning the village into a place of fear. His chiefs' wives were taken as concubines, and his appetite for power grew with every passing day. The villagers could only watch as Olajuwon sold their lands to European traders. He ignored the sacred boundaries that protected their farms and forests, treating the land as his to sell. Those who protested were punished harshly, either exiled or beaten by the foreign soldiers under his command. The ultimate betrayal came when Olajuwon began selling the villagers themselves. Men, women, and children were rounded up and traded to European slave merchants. Families were torn apart, and the cries of mothers echoed through the village. The people began to whisper that the gods would not stay silent for long. Despite the suffering, Olajuwon grew bolder. His palace became a fortress of indulgence, filled with foreign luxuries and concubines. He surrounded himself with foreign advisors, ignoring the elders and priests who tried to warn him. The shrine of Sango, once the heart of the village, fell into neglect. The priests of Sango pleaded with Olajuwon to repent. They warned him that Sango's wrath was swift and unrelenting, but Olajuwon laughed at their warnings. "If Sango is so powerful," he sneered, "let him strike me down himself." The villagers trembled at his words, knowing such defiance could not go unanswered. The breaking point came when Olajuwon announced plans to dismantle Sango's shrine. He declared it useless land and offered it to European traders in exchange for more wealth. This act of sacrilege shook the village to its core. Even the elders, who had remained silent, began to fear for their lives. That night, a storm unlike any the villagers had seen began to brew. The skies darkened, and the air grew heavy with tension. The winds howled through the village, and thunder rumbled in the distance. The priests gathered at the shrine, praying for forgiveness and mercy from Sango. In the palace, Olajuwon held a feast, mocking the storm and the villagers' fears. He raised his goblet, filled with foreign wine, and declared, "Let the gods come for me if they dare." As he laughed, the thunder grew louder, shaking the walls of the grand hall. Lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the palace in blinding white light. The villagers watched from their homes as the storm intensified. The winds tore through the village, toppling trees and ripping roofs from huts. It was clear that this was no ordinary storm, it was Sango's wrath. As the storm raged, the villagers whispered prayers to Sango, begging for protection. The children huddled in their mother's arms, crying as lightning cracked across the sky. But in the palace, Olajuwon refused to acknowledge the danger. He continued drinking, shouting over the thunder, and mocking the gods. Suddenly, a massive bolt of lightning struck the shrine of Sango, lighting up the village like it was daytime. The priests at the shrine fell to their knees, crying out in fear and awe. They knew this was a sign. Sango was no longer willing to wait for repentance. Inside the palace, Olajuwon felt the ground tremble as another deafening clap of thunder roared overhead. The foreign advisors urged him to leave the palace and take shelter, but Olajuwon waved them off. "The gods are powerless," he barked. "This storm is nothing but a coincidence." The villagers watched in horror as the lightning struck again, this time hitting the palace roof. Flames erupted, and smoke billowed into the sky. The villagers whispered among themselves that the gods had come to reclaim their village. Even those who had doubted Sango's power now trembled in fear. Olajuwon stood frozen as fire spread through the palace walls. The golden treasures he had hoarded melted in the intense heat. His foreign advisors fled, leaving him alone with his concubines, who screamed and begged to be set free. But the doors of the palace refused to open. Another thunderclap shattered the air, and the villagers saw a bolt of lightning strike directly through the throne room. The ground shook, and the palace crumbled in on itself. The once mighty structure, a symbol of Olajuwon's greed, became a smoldering ruin in a matter of moments. When the storm finally subsided, the villagers cautiously emerged from their homes. The air was heavy with smoke and silence. All eyes turned to the palace ruins, where the charred remains of Olajuwon's throne sat exposed. His lifeless body slumped on it, burned and unrecognizable. The priests approached the ruins with caution, carrying sacred offerings for Sango. They placed the offerings at the site and began chanting prayers of thanks. The storm had left its mark, but the shrine of Sango remained untouched. It was a clear message: the gods had reclaimed their power. The villagers gathered at the shrine, led by the elders and priests. Together they pledged to rebuild their village with respect for their traditions and gods. They vowed never to allow greed and corruption to rule again. The shrine became a symbol of hope and unity for the people. In the days that followed, the foreign men who had helped Olajuwon fled Ajakorò, leaving behind the stolen lands and treasures. The villagers reclaimed what was rightfully theirs, restoring their farms and homes. Slowly but surely, the village began to heal from the scars of Olajuwon's reign. The story of Olajuwon's fall spread far and wide. Travelers who passed through Ajakorò carried the tale with them, warning other villages of the dangers of defying the gods. Sango's thunder became a legend, a reminder that justice, though it may take time, would always prevail. The elders resumed their duties, ensuring that the next king was chosen with care and reverence for tradition. They consulted the priests and sought guidance from Sango before crowning a new ruler. This time, the king was a humble farmer who valued the land and the people above all else. The new king, known as Oba Adetunbo, worked tirelessly to restore trust among the villagers. He honored the gods with regular offerings and sought advice from the elders before making decisions. Under his rule, Ajakorò slowly regained its prosperity and its sense of peace. The priests of Sango became more respected than ever before. They taught the villagers about the importance of balance and humility, ensuring that future generations understood the lessons of Olajuwon's downfall. The shrine of Sango was expanded, becoming a sacred place of pilgrimage for nearby villages. Olajuwon's name became a curse, spoken only as a warning to others. Parents told their children the tale of the tyrant king, who sold his people and defied the gods, only to meet a fiery end. His story became a lesson in humility, respect, and the dangers of unchecked power. As years passed, the ruins of Olajuwon's palace became overgrown with vines and trees. The villagers avoided the area, believing it to be cursed. They said that on stormy nights, you could still hear Olajuwon's cries, carried on the wind as a reminder of his foolishness. Ajakorò flourished under Oba Adetunbo's rule. The markets bustled with activity, the fields yielded abundant harvests, and the people lived without fear. The village became a beacon of hope for neighboring communities, proving that even after the darkest times, renewal and justice were possible. The tale of Olajuwon and Sango's wrath was passed down through generations, becoming a cornerstone of Ajakorò's culture. Children learned to respect the gods and the land, while adults remembered the lessons of humility and unity. The story ensured that the village never again strayed from its path. Despite the village's recovery, the memory of Olajuwon's reign lingered in the hearts of the people. Elders would often remind the young never forget what happened when greed ruled our land. The gods watch over us, and their justice is swift. It became a guiding principle for the community. The villagers often spoke of the day Sango's thunder struck, recounting every detail as if it had just happened. They remembered the terror of the storm, the fire that consumed the palace, and the eerie silence that followed. It was a story they told with both fear and reverence. Over time, the ruins of Olajuwon's palace became a warning to all who dared defy the gods. Travelers who ventured near the site claimed to hear faint whispers and see shadows moving among the wreckage. Many believed it was Olajuwon's restless spirit, forever cursed to wander in shame. The elders declared the area around the ruins sacred ground, a place where only the priests could enter. They built a small shrine at the edge of the site, where offerings were made to Sango to ensure the village remained protected. No one dared disrespect the shrine's sanctity. Stories of Olajuwon's greed and downfall reached foreign lands, carried by traders and travelers. Even European merchants, once eager to exploit the village, feared returning to Ajakorò. They whispered of a powerful god who defended his people with fire and thunder, striking fear into the hearts of oppressors. The villagers of Ajakorò learned to rebuild their lives with caution and gratitude. Each harvest was celebrated with offerings to Sango, and each decision made by the new king was weighed carefully against the traditions of the ancestors. The village flourished under this renewed sense of purpose and humility. The new generation grew up hearing the tale of Olajuwon's fall from power. They were taught that no amount of wealth or influence could protect someone from the wrath of the gods. The story became a moral compass, guiding the people to live with integrity and respect for their heritage. The elders, now wise with age, ensured the village never forgot its history. They carved the story of Olajuwon's downfall into stone tablets, placed at the shrine of Sango. These carvings told of the storm, the tyrant's betrayal, and the divine justice that restored balance to Ajakorò. One stormy night, a group of young boys dared each other to venture near the ruins of Olajuwon's palace. They crept through the darkness, their hearts pounding with fear. As lightning lit the sky, they swore they saw a figure sitting on the throne, its charred face glaring at them. The boys ran back to the village, screaming in terror. Their story spread quickly, and the elders declared the ruins off limits once again. "The curse of Olajuwon remains," they said. "Let this be a lesson: never stray from the path of the gods, or you too will face their wrath." Despite the fear surrounding the ruins, the villagers never forgot the protection Sango had given them. Each year, during the Festival of Thunder, they gathered at the shrine to honor the god. Drums thundered, fires blazed, and the people danced, celebrating their survival and their enduring connection to Sango. The priests of Sango became the guardians of Ajakorò's traditions. They trained young apprentices to continue the sacred rituals, ensuring the village never again fell into disarray. The priests often warned the people, "Power and greed destroy all who embrace them. Only those who honor the gods can thrive." Over time, the lessons of Olajuwon's reign became deeply ingrained in the village's culture. Parents told their children, "Never let wealth blind you. The land belongs to the gods, not to us. We are only its caretakers." These words became a mantra, guiding every decision made in Ajakorò. Travelers continued to visit Ajakorò, drawn by the tale of Sango's thunder. The shrine became a place of pilgrimage, where people sought blessings and protection. The villagers welcomed these visitors, sharing their story with pride, knowing it was a reminder of their resilience and the gods' unwavering justice. The village grew prosperous once again, but this time it was different. Wealth was no longer hoarded or misused. The people shared their resources, ensuring everyone in the community thrived. The bonds between families grew stronger, and Ajakorò became a model of unity and harmony for surrounding villages. The ruins of Olajuwon's palace remained untouched, a stark contrast to the vibrant life in the village. It stood as a reminder of the darkness that once consumed Ajakorò and the power of the gods to bring justice. No one dared approach it, not even the bravest warriors. One day, a wandering storyteller arrived in Ajakorò. He listened to the villagers' tales of Olajuwon and Sango and decided to craft a song. His voice echoed through the village as he sang of the storm, the king's betrayal, and the thunder that ended his tyranny. The people listened in awe. The storyteller's song spread far and wide, reaching distant villages and cities. People marveled at the tale, some calling it a myth, others believing it to be true. But in Ajakorò, they knew the truth. They had lived through it, and the memory of that stormy night would never fade. The elders invited the storyteller to stay in Ajakorò, offering him shelter and food. He accepted, spending his days at the shrine, learning more about the village's history. His stories became an important part of the village's oral tradition, ensuring future generations would never forget their past. As the years passed, the villagers continued to thrive. The fields were lush, the rivers flowed freely, and the people lived without fear. They attributed their success to Sango's blessings and their commitment to honoring the gods. Ajakorò became a shining example of faith and resilience. The elders often reflected on how far the village had come since Olajuwon's reign. They remembered the terror and suffering, but also the strength and unity that emerged from the chaos. They knew that without Sango's intervention, Ajakorò might have been lost forever. During the annual Festival of Thunder, the villagers gathered at the shrine to celebrate. They danced and sang, their voices rising to the heavens. As lightning flashed in the distance, they felt Sango's presence, a reassuring reminder that the gods were always watching over them. The priests continued to teach the young about the importance of humility and respect. They warned them of the dangers of arrogance and greed, using Olajuwon's story as a cautionary tale. The children listened with wide eyes, vowing never to repeat the mistakes of the tyrant king. Though many years had passed, the ruins of Olajuwon's palace remained untouched. Nature had begun to reclaim the site, with vines and trees growing over the stones. The villagers believed this was Sango's way of erasing the tyrant's legacy, allowing the land to heal from the scars of his reign. Ajakorò's story became legendary, a tale of divine justice that inspired countless others. The village itself became a symbol of hope and resilience, a place where people could come to learn the importance of faith, tradition, and humility. The villagers embraced their role as keepers of this powerful story. As the sun set over Ajakorò one evening, an elder stood before the shrine of Sango, reflecting on the village's journey. "We have suffered, but we have also learned," he said softly. "May we never forget the gods' mercy and the strength of our unity. Together we will endure." And so Ajakorò flourished, its people forever mindful of the lessons taught by Sango's thunder. The story of Olajuwon's fall echoed through the generations, a timeless reminder that no one, no matter how powerful, could escape the watchful eyes of the gods. If you're enjoying this captivating story and want more intriguing tales like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Your support helps us bring more incredible stories to life. Thank you for watching.